Have you ever really stopped to think about how the internet works? I'm not talking about the cables and the Wi-Fi routers, but the invisible rules that shape our entire digital lives. Well, those rules are on the verge of a massive shakeup, maybe the biggest in a generation. And this change could flip the script, shifting power away from giant companies and putting it back in your hands. So let's dive in and see what that future could actually look like. Just think about your day-to-day. Every time you post a photo, write a review, share a link, or connect to someone, you're building. You're a content creator, a community builder, an architect laying the bricks, one click at a time, that make up the digital world we all live in. Okay, but here's the catch. With all those bricks you're laying, who actually owns the building? When you post something on social media, who really owns that content? Who's in charge of the platform? And, let's be honest, who profits from all the value that you are creating?
This world we're in right now, that's Web 2. And don't get me wrong, it's an incredible leap from the early days of the internet. We went from just reading stuff online to being able to write and create it ourselves. But all this amazing creativity happens inside these walled gardens, owned by a handful of huge corporations that control our data and make all the rules.
You can actually see this whole evolution in a few clear steps. We started with Web 1, the read-only web. It was basically a giant digital library. Then we got Web 2, the read and write web we have now, which is more like a global conversation. And now we're on the doorstep of Web 3, which adds one more crucial step: read, write, and own. And believe me, that one little word, own, it changes everything.
So how do we get to own? Well, the whole idea is wrapped up in one core concept: decentralization. Instead of having all the power and all the data piled up in the hands of a few giant tech companies, Web3 is all about spreading it out across a network of users. It's a huge shift from that top-down structure to a peer-to-peer network where everybody has a stake in the game.
And the technology that makes this all possible is the blockchain. At its heart, it's really just a shared digital record book. Every transaction is a block of data that's chained to the one before it. And this chain is transparent, everyone can see it, and it's distributed across the entire network, which makes it almost impossible for any one person to go back and secretly change things. It's how you get trust without needing a big bank or a central company acting as a referee.
Now, built on top of that blockchain are something called smart contracts. And honestly, the vending machine is the perfect way to think about it. They're just agreements written in code that run themselves, right? You put in the right amount of money, the machine checks it, and it automatically spits out your snack. There's no cashier, no middleman. Smart contracts do exactly that for all sorts of digital stuff, from finance to gaming.
So here's the bottom line, the really crucial shift. In Web 2, the value of the network, all that activity, it all gets sucked up by private companies like Facebook or Twitter. But in Web 3, the value stays with the protocol itself, the shared open-source rulebook for the network, which in theory can be owned and governed by the people who actually use it.
And you can see this power shift in some really practical ways. Let's look at data ownership. In Web 2, the platforms own your data. In Web 3, you do. What about governance? Who makes the rules? It goes from a central corporation to decentralized communities, these things called DAOs. And security gets a rewrite too. We move from the risk of one company having a massive data breach to a distributed model. Though, to be fair, that comes with new risks like bugs in the code. And finally, money. The whole model changes from being driven by ads where platforms get rich to a token-based economy where users can actually earn value for what they contribute.
And you know, this isn't just a theory on a whiteboard anymore. People are actually building this stuff right now. We're seeing decentralized finance, or DeFi, which is trying to build financial services without needing the big banks. We've got NFTs, which give you provable ownership over digital things, like art or items in a video game. We have DAOs, which are totally new ways of running organizations based on code and community votes. And of course, the metaverse, which promises these amazing virtual worlds that are owned by the users, not by a single company.
Let's zoom in on gaming for a second, because it's a perfect example. In a normal Web 2 game, you might buy a super rare sword, but you don't really own it. The developer does. If they shut down the game tomorrow, poof, it's gone. But in a Web 3 game, that sword could be an NFT that you truly own. You could sell it, trade it, maybe even use it in a different game someday. But, and this is a big but, this new ownership comes with trade-offs. It's way more complicated. You need a crypto wallet, you have to understand transaction fees. It can be a real headache for the average player.
And that kind of brings us to the big reality check. With all this incredible promise of ownership and control, is Web3 actually ready for, everyone? Is it ready for your mom? This number pretty much says it all. A recent study found that 80%, 80, of casual gamers are put off by how complex Web3 is. That friction, setting up a crypto wallet, worrying about losing your keys, figuring out gas fees, it's a massive wall blocking people from even trying it out.
And that clunky user experience is just the tip of the iceberg. There are some serious hurdles separating the promise of Web3 from today's reality. You've got major security risks, you've got the insane economic volatility of crypto tokens, and you've got these transaction costs, gas fees, that can be super high and totally unpredictable. The truth is, the technology is still very, very early. So at the end of the day, this is the fundamental trade-off we're looking at. Web2 is built for massive, global scale and a super smooth, frictionless experience. It's just easy. Web3, at least right now, sacrifices some of that ease for something brand new, real, actual user control and ownership.
And that leaves us with the million-dollar question. The future isn't set in stone. The next chapter of the internet is being written as we speak. So, will we keep going down this centralized path that's built for convenience and scale, or will we choose a decentralized future, built around ownership, even if it's a little messy and complicated? The answer isn't here yet, and it's a decision that will define the digital world that you live in for a long, long time.